Hi, I'm James Taylor, business creativity and innovation keynote speaker, and this is The Creative Life, a show dedicated to you, the creative. If you're looking for motivation, inspiration and advice while at home, at work or on your daily commute, then this show is for you. Each episode brings you a successful creative, whether that's an author, musician, entrepreneur, performer, designer or thought leader. They'll share with you their journey, their successes, their failures, their creative process, and much, much more. You'll find show notes for this episode as well as free training on creativity over at jamestaylor.me. Enjoy this episode. Hi, it's James Taylor here. Today's episode was first aired as part of International Authors Summit. This inspiring virtual summit reveals the secrets of making, marketing, and monetizing a best-selling book. If you would like to access the full video version as well as in-depth sessions with over 40 best-selling authors, then I've got a very special offer for you. Just go to internationalauthorssummit.com where you'll be able to register for a free pass for the summit. Yeah, that's right. Over 40 New York Times and Amazon best-selling authors, book editors, agents, and publishers sharing their insights, strategies, and tactics on how to write and market your first or next bestseller. So just go to internationalauthorssummit.com, but not before you listen to today's episode. Hey there, it's James Taylor, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Stephanie Chandler. Stephanie is the author of several books, including the Nonfiction Book Marketing Plan and the Nonfiction Publishing Plan. She is also founder and CEO of the Nonfiction Authors Association, a vibrant educational community for experienced and aspiring writers, and the Nonfiction Writers Conference, an amazing annual event conducted entirely online. It's my great pleasure to have Stephanie with us today. So welcome, Stephanie.
Hey, James. Thanks for inviting me.
So share with everyone what's going on in your world just now.
Oh my gosh. So I have a brand new book launching as this summit is going live. It's called the Nonfiction Book Publishing Plan. It's a follow-up to the Nonfiction Book Marketing Plan, which I released in 2013. It's been, I can't believe, 5 years since I have launched a book, but I'm just incredibly excited. The beta reviewers have been giving me some wonderful feedback. It's a really fun time.
So now you're a couple of books in. Does it get any easier in the process?
Yeah, it doesn't. I think this is my 10th book, and because it's been so long since I personally launched a book, I've been finding all the frustrations, like editing. We went through 4 rounds of complete 100% professional editing, and we're still finding, things that needed to be fixed. So, it's hard for everybody, no matter how long you've been doing this.
But even in between that time, you've been publishing a lot, but publishing a lot of incredible resources that you have. I was looking earlier today at the Nonfiction Authors Association. You have some incredible handbooks and resources there. Is that you that basically puts those together and writes those?
I do create the majority of our content. It's my favorite thing to do. So I make time for that. We do have a little bit of help, but most of the content is mine. We have a ton of content. We do weekly checklists and worksheets. We send out marketing homework to our members. We release a special report every month. We do webinars. We do online courses. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but that's my favorite thing to do. It's a ton of fun.
So where did it all begin for you? How did you get started into this world of writing?
In 2003, I quit my soul-sucking Silicon Valley job, and I opened a 2,800 square foot brick and mortar bookstore here in Sacramento, California, where I live. I thought I was going to sit in the back office and write novels. And as it turned out, I was a terrible fiction writer. It was also not nearly as romantic as it sounds to own a bookstore. It was a lot of headaches. We were robbed. We had cockroaches coming in from the restaurant next door. I mean, it was just, we were in a terrible location. You couldn't see us from the street. I kind of had to learn marketing, under fire. And in that whole process, I decided that I really had always loved nonfiction. I wrote my first book. It was a business startup guide. My next book was called From Entrepreneur to Infopreneur, and I sold that to Wiley, and then I signed with an agent. We sold a couple more books. So I kind of launched this whole career I hadn't planned on, and then I eventually sold that store and became a book publisher. And I was out speaking at these writers' conferences and realizing nobody was really paying attention to nonfiction writers. And we tend to have different goals and just different processes than the fiction writers. So that launched the Nonfiction Writers Conference. We held our first event in 2010. And the attendees from that event kept saying, how do we keep in touch when this event is over? So in 2013, the Nonfiction Authors Association was born. And, you know, I like to say my path found me. I never expected to be here, but what an incredible ride. I mean, we have such a thriving, exciting community full of really smart people, and I love what I do every day.
And you've had some incredible guests on that conference. I mean, I think I've seen you've had Seth Godin, Gretchen Rubin on there as well. I mean, mention some of the names that you've had, because I was looking earlier. It was like some phenomenal lineup of guests you've had.
Yeah, obviously Seth was really, really exciting to get him. Gretchen Rubin, we just had this year, 2018. We had Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way.
Great book.
Guy Kawasaki. Dan Millman, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. I mean, it goes on and on. So it's incredibly exciting, the speakers that we've attracted. And, you know, every year it's a challenge to try to beat the previous year. And, you know, couldn't be having more fun.
So who was your mentor as you were making that transition from the world of writing fiction into the world of writing nonfiction? As, you know, as you said, different goals, there's a different style as well. Who were the authors or the mentors that you either had a relationship with, were able to kind of coach you and help you along the way, or you just looked at their work from afar and you said, that's the type of writer that I want to be like?
I love this question. I'm not somebody who tends to hire coaches, even though I do a lot of consulting myself. I'm a reader, and I'll tell you, the book that totally changed my life was called Damn, Why Didn't I Write That? By Mark McCutcheon. And it was about the wonders of writing nonfiction, and it completely opened my eyes to these new possibilities. You know, as a kid, I've always wanted to be a teacher and a writer. And I set out to be an English teacher and kind of took this detour into the Silicon Valley and rode the dot-com wave. So I still always had that burning desire to be a teacher. And what I learned from that book was that nonfiction allows me to teach and help people, you know, reach their own potential. And so that became really rewarding. So that was one of many books that I read. I loved Stephen King's On Writing memoir, Julia Cameron. So, you know, I'm just a total avid reader, and the writers that I read have really influenced my journey. Now,
the area that you're writing with this new book that's coming out, Nonfiction Publishing Plan, that's a very competitive area, I'm guessing, in terms of in space. So how do you go about, I mean, you know your area so well, but how do you also go about standing out in a relatively crowded market?
Great question. There are a ton of books on how to publish. Very few about how to specifically publish nonfiction. And the subtitle of the book is The Professional Guide to Profitable Self-Publishing. So profit is the key here. Very few authors make a living from their books. And so with nonfiction, the earnings potential are unlimited, not only from bulk book sales and serial books and things of that nature, but from the things you build around the book, like you're a professional speaker. You know, speaking is a very lucrative career. There's digital products, and I wrote the book on that back in 2006 on how to sell digital products. So there's all these revenue streams you can build around your book and use your book as a tool to really build a thriving lifestyle business that, you know, you get to decide what your day looks like every day. And so that's really my main focus, is helping authors realize their greater potential around their books.
It's been interesting as I've been going through this process of interviewing all these different guests, and obviously we've had a lot of professional speakers, and some of them have kind of divided themselves into the camp. They say, I'm a speaker who writes, or they're writers who speak. And there's teachers who write or writers who teach, I guess, in terms of the online side as well. So it sounds like very much you've always been that writer, and then the other things have been ways to kind of get your message and to add new revenue streams around that core of your writing.
Totally. And I love that comparison, because I know many speakers who write and many writers who speak. I speak because I started being invited to speak. I never really particularly aimed to be a speaker. But it's something I do a lot. I'm at a conference this weekend. So, you know, I think your heart is in one place or the other. If I had to choose, I'd always rather be sitting behind my desk, living my introverted life and typing up my stories rather than standing on a stage and telling them. But I'll do them both.
Now, something you've written about before is, because we now have the big beast that is Amazon in there. And that's the algorithm is so driven by reviews. And I know you've written before about different ways that you can encourage your readers to leave reviews, because it's obviously there's more and more. So one of the first things, obviously, cover, title, and then you immediately look how many reviews it has had, what kind of reviews it had. Any tips, any just like quick tips just now for someone who maybe they have a book out already, or they're just getting ready to launch their book, in terms of getting those reviews happening?
My number one favorite way to do reviews right now is to build a team of beta readers. I'm in the middle of pre-sales. It'll be live by the time this airs. But I put out a call for beta readers and enlisted 300 people, and I would gladly take as many as applied, because the more people you have talking about your book, the better. And this also means that coming out of the gate, we'll have reviews for the book. So, number one is just give that book away. When Seth Godin spoke for us, he said, your problem is not piracy, your problem is obscurity. And it has to be one of my favorite quotes, because his theory is give your content away for free, give your books away for free. In my new book, I have a section in there that says, please give this to your friends. I don't care if this is in PDF format, email it to everybody you know, because guess what? Every new reader, whether they paid for the book or not, is a potential fan. They're potentially someone who will sign up for your mailing list and invest in your courses and buy your next book. So, give it away, ask for those reviews. Sometimes all people need to do is ask, and we forget to do that.
So building those beta readers, I mean, what are you asking? That exchange, you're saying, I'm going to send you a copy of the book, or PDF of the book. What are you asking for them at that stage? And then how do you ensure that you can follow up in order to get feedback and obviously and get those reviews happening?
So for my beta readers, first of all, you can't provide incentive for reviews according to Amazon's terms and conditions. So my beta reader program was not dependent on you must write a review. I would never say that. But it's about building word of mouth and buzz. And so benefits for the beta readers are they get early access to the book. In my situation, they're interested in the content of the book as it applies to their own careers. So a lot of them wanted to see the process of building a beta launch team. We joined a private Facebook group for everybody. I've been sending email updates. Just this morning, I posted on our Facebook group saying, ask me anything. I want to give back. Let me help you. And so we've had some fun discussion threads going on. But, it's not a one-way transaction. It's a two-way transaction. And I'm getting to know people who've apparently been, around for years, and I never knew them until they became part of my beta team. It's a really cool process. And
I think I guess that's the thing about any type of creative person. You're always interested in the creative process of another creative. You're like, so how are they doing? What are they doing? Is it just me that sits down and there's like nothing in my head, or is there the struggling? So you're kind of letting them in. You're kind of letting them into the behind the scenes of your process, including the marketing process. Obviously, some people talk about the writing process, but you're actually talking them through the marketing process as well.
Totally, I created a list of ways you can help. With ideas like write about it on your blog, share it on social media. Tell your friends about it. Host a giveaway, I'll donate books, so I'm making it easier for them to participate. Some of them came back to me and said, hey, can I get a guest blog post? And so, we're contributing that, and it's just a great way, and they'll all get thanked on our website, and I'm trying to make it mutually beneficial for everybody that's involved.
So tell us a little bit about the Nonfiction Writers Association. That's when I was kind of going around looking to start, get involved in writing myself as well. That was one of the first things that kind of popped up. So how does membership of this work? What kind of community have you been able to build at that association?
Yeah, our community is amazing. I launched the association back in 2013 in May. And then in October, my husband died unexpectedly. So 5 months after the association launched, my world imploded. I became a single mom. I kind of checked out for a year. And despite the fact that I kind of had, one toe in the water, the association was growing. And so today we're up to, I think we're close to 18,000 members. There are multiple membership levels. There's a free level. Our basic annual level is $190. We've got a VIP level that's $490. That includes access to both of our Nonfiction Writers Conference events each year. And then we have what we call a thought leader level that includes some one-on-one consulting. So it's really all about educating our members. I don't know of another association that provides so much educational content and resources. We have a private Facebook group. We have a private LinkedIn group. We've got chapter meetings happening all over the country. We've launched in the UK a few months back. So, the community is just powerful and amazing, and it's full of smart people. These are people, the people who write nonfiction want to make a difference in the world. That's one of the things I love most about them. So it's fun to see them all building their careers and reaching bigger audiences as a result.
Wonderful. I know we're going to have some links here to the association. People can check that out as well. In your journey as an author, was there a key aha moment, a light bulb moment, a time when you went, this is the direction I want to go with my writing, or this is what writing means for me?
Wow, great question. When the first book came out, it was a business startup guide. I wrote it because my Silicon Valley friends were caravanning up to Sacramento to see my bookstore. They couldn't believe I quit a 6-figure job to sell, $4 paperbacks. And the feeling when that book came out of how I could potentially teach and inspire other people was completely overwhelming. It had nothing to do with getting media coverage or being asked to speak. It was the fulfillment of feeling like I was doing something purposeful. And that's kind of when everything changed for me. That's when I decided that I was going to be a nonfiction writer forever.
See, I would be the worst bookstore owner in the world, because all I would do is I would have this book with lots of antiquarian books. I wouldn't really want anyone to come to the bookstore, and I would just make lots of cups of tea and sit and read all the books. I'd be the worst bookstore owner. So that's probably not going to be on my cards. And if any bookstore owners are watching this just now, then all credit to you, because I know that is a difficult job, especially in today's climate as well. I'd be interested in what tools and apps do you use in terms of being able to do your writing? Are there things that you find very useful in the process of writing?
In the process of writing, I'm a total fan of the old storyboard method, where basically you sit down with a stack of index cards and you dump out every single minute topic you want to cover in your book. And each topic goes on an individual card. And then, when you're done with the brain dump, you kind of spread them out in front of you, and you start to form your chapters and build an outline from there. That works really well for me. I strongly recommend it. I'm not big on technology as far as the writing part goes. I use Word. I'm a fast writer. I'm pretty lucky in that regard. I mean, it's a miracle I don't put out more books, because I really do write pretty fast. But I will say one of my favorite tools is Evernote. Evernote is a cool app. You can clip things from the internet, save your notes there. And, I'm a heavy iPad user. It's my favorite toy. So if I read an article I want to reference later, I clip it to Evernote. And that includes business, personal, everything. And then I can access it from my desktop, my phone, wherever I am. It's very cool.
And what is your daily writing ritual? I mean, you say you don't publish more, but obviously you're publishing all these credible resources and ebooks and things for the association. So how are you getting this work done? What's your writing ritual look like?
Yeah, in fact, I'm about to publish a report on time management for writers, because I will say that, I have to make it a priority. It's also my favorite thing to do. I'd love to shut off my phone and just write for 4 days a week. But my process mostly is don't look at email. I don't touch email first thing in the morning. It distracts me. It kind of throws me off my flow for the day. So usually when I first sit at my desk, that's the creative time for writing, developing new content, writing reports, things like that. I love to block out big chunks of time for writing, and I lose track of time when I'm writing. So it's definitely something that has to be scheduled. And as it turns out, the world doesn't come to an end when you stop checking your email 50 times a day. Now, I check it once or twice a day. Sometimes I go every other day. And guess what? It can wait. The world is still
turning. And you mentioned Julia Cameron. Obviously, she's been. I sense she's been a big influence on both of us as well. She talks about the morning pages, doing your morning pages. Is that something that you've ever done? You've ever kind of worked with?
I love the morning pages concept, and for those who don't know, it just means that you sit down in the morning and you just basically write. You dump all your thoughts out of your head into a journal. I think it's a great strategy to kind of get you going in the morning. I tend to be more of a nighttime journaler. So at the end of the day, I love to do my morning pages. And that also, I'm a chronic insomniac, so it helps me sleep if I get all the stuff out of my head and onto paper.
It's funny because when I go and speak around the world, and I was speaking in Singapore recently, and And I actually, part of what I taught you, if I'm speaking about creative process, improving your creative process in a large organization, I say every single one of you should have a journal and be doing morning pages. And I describe what Julia Cameron describes about morning pages. And it's consistently one of the things I hear back, months or years later. People will say to me, I do that every morning, or I do that every evening. And it's had a huge impact in terms of just getting all these things out of my head and just getting them out onto a page and just helping me just not holding all this stuff in my mental RAM all the time, and just being able to kind of get it out on a page and then structure my thoughts and actually just find creative lines there that I want to go. And that could be in terms of something I'm going to do with my family, or something we're going to do with the business, or something completely unwork related. So it's a fantastic tool. So thank you, Julia, if you're watching. You get a great thing to the world there. What about a book? If you were to recommend one book, not one of your own books, but a book you would recommend, it could be on the writing process, or it could be on marketing or publishing, what would that book be?
Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott is the ultimate guide, I think, for writers. For anyone who feels stuck writing, that will help you through that process. It's just phenomenal.
That is a wonderful. I just read it recently. Another guest recommended. I'd never read it before. It had me laughing a lot of the way through the book. She's a very funny writer. So we'll put that link here as well for people that haven't had a chance to read that one yet. And I want you to imagine now, Stephanie, you wake up tomorrow morning and you have to start from scratch. So you've got all the skills, all the knowledge you've acquired over the years, but no one knows you. You know no one. You have to begin again. What would you do? How would you restart things?
Content. I'd build a website, a magazine-style website. This is where a lot of authors miss big opportunities. If you create just a basic author website, you're not going to drive traffic. One of the things Google hates is an idle website. So if you want to drive traffic, it's all about content. My suggestion, especially for nonfiction writers, is choose your subject matter expertise and build a site, like a magazine-style site, around that. So if you're an expert on living with diabetes, you would have a website full of content on managing diabetes and tools for diabetes and resources for diabetes. So that's exactly what I would do. Is I would start a new site. I'd load it up with content, written content, video content. Today, podcasts are really hot. So that's what I do.
And if people want to reach out to you and learn more about the association and the conference, where's the best place for them to go and do that?
Nonfiction Authors Association.com is the main conference site. We also have our fall Nonfiction Writers Conference coming up November, 8th and 9th and 10th. And it's nonfictionwritersconference.com. Our theme for the fall conference is how to be a profitable author. So we're going to have a lot of fun there.
Wonderful. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on. I congratulate you for all the great work that you've been doing and helping all these authors all around the world with your association, with your conference. And I wish you all the best for the new book that's coming out.
Thank you so much, James. What a fun interview. I appreciate it.
If you're interested in living a more creative life, then I'd love to invite you to join me as I share some of the most successful strategies and techniques that high-performing creatives use. I put them all together in a free downloadable ebook that you can get by going to jamestaylor.me. That's jamestaylor.me to get your free downloadable ebook on creativity.